It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we say happy holidays, and we welcome you to the Monday Bonus Podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the Venerable John Riley, with his opinions from left field, and we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headlines. Our podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of stores to serve you. Last-minute Christmas shoppers, think Christmas gift cards from DIXIELINE Lumber, and go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. Couple of program notes. We're doing a full podcast today. We're going to take the Christmas Thursday off, but we're going to post something special on our website, because we've had followers for 3 years, because we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. We're going to do something that we did initially. When John and I first met 3 years ago, we did a history of sports talk radio. John and I, it's our first interview ever on a podcast. It was more of an experiment, and we hit a home run with it. We're going to replay that. It's going to be like the history of Hacksaw. So look at that. Look for that sometime either Christmas Day or Friday. We'll be back here a week from today, post-Christmas, open up the Christmas gifts, the bad Christmas tie exchange, and all that. So full podcast today, history of Hacksaw at the end of the week, back here next Monday. John, what a weekend. Ooh, what a weekend of upsets, surprises, disappointments in football, college football, NFL football, and lots to talk about in baseball. So, topics on the table. Here we are.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Detroit Lions fans, and it's been a rough weekend. Yeah.
So we're going to go a lot of different directions. John, pick topic one. Where do you want to start?
Okay, let's cook with the Padres. Their patience has paid off, Lee.
What did I say a week ago? Two key words: patience and puzzles.
Yeah, you did.
AJ, very patient, waiting for prices to come down, waiting to see what other teams want to do. AJ, moving pieces on the puzzle board around to make certain things fit. And end of the day, the Padres had a really interesting 24 hours the middle of the week. The Padres signed Michael Kay, state-of-the-art contract, but it is a uniquely structured contract. 3 years, $75 million for Michael Kay coming off a shoulder injury. That seems pretty pricey. However, it includes opt-outs. It's $17 million the first year if he elects to stay, $22 million the second year if he elects to stay, $30 million the third year. But if he gets hot, he could also go back into the open market after the 2026 season. It's really interesting to take part in the Zoom calls and the conference calls. Michael King said he went 6 weeks without hearing from A.J. Preller. No communication whatsoever. Then A.J. called him and said, let's talk. So he let Michael King go out in the marketplace and take all these offers. Cubs, Red Sox, Orioles, maybe the Yankees, maybe the Mets. We don't know for sure. And then A.J. got back to him. And at the end of the day, I perceive Michael King did not get the 5-year contract that they were asking initially. I also perceive some of the other offers financially on a 3-year deal were not what he really wanted to hear. And then when the Padres came back with this creatively financed thing that in essence said, Michael King, bet on Michael King. If you have a 15, 20-win season, we'll give you the chance to go back into the marketplace next year by giving you opt-outs. And you help us with our budget and our salary cap situation. So he elected to do that. But he had no conversation with A.J. Preller for 6 weeks. A.J. very patient. Could have lost him, but very patient. Got the guy back. And then he said, the culture here, these people here, this community here, Petco Park here, those are all things that drew him back rather than going to a strange organization where everything is new. So it's fascinating to see how that worked out. Then, within 12 hours after the signing of Michael King, comes the signing of the Korean second baseman, shortstop, third baseman, SUNG-MUN. This guy's 29, spent 9 years in Korea with the Haewon Heroes. He was a teammate of Ha-Seong Kim, who came here 4 or 5 years ago and did very, very well. coming off a .315 season with 26 home runs. The guy's got a stroke like Ichiro Suzuki. Guy's a Gold Glove guy, multi-position guy. Now, granted, he's going to go through a learning curve at the major league level, but they get him. Now, the question I pose, we still need to see if the Padres can find a way to get another starting pitcher, because now they got Pivetta, now they got King, but there's still question marks after that. The other question, getting Song out of Korea, does that open the door, mandate the possible trade of Jake Cronenworth? Might that be the piece that goes to get them another starting pitcher? And still out there to be resolved, there is no Luis Arraez re-signing. There is no Ryan O'Hearn re-signing. It does not appear that Iglesias is coming back, which is a bit of a surprise to me. They did sign another super utility guy, Jose Miranda, who hit pretty well with the Minnesota Twins. And then maybe their thought is Gavin Sheets is going to be my first baseman DH, and we'll just worry about the rest of it after we solve it. Padres' payroll is now at $205 million. For luxury tax purposes, the Padres' total number is $257. That puts them above the $244 limit, so they're going to owe some tax money. And by the way, with the signing of Song from Korea, they have to pay $3 million posting fee to Kaihum, the team that he played for. So that goes into the budget too. So the Padres' money availability seems to be getting smaller and smaller. Imai is still out there till January 2nd. Has to sign by then. Obviously, Chris Bassett, journeyman, is out there. David Peterson, Mets, still out there. Possible trade. Jonas Tong, the outstanding young pitcher, Mets, very much out there, but that's a much bigger trade if that were to happen. So, John, I posted a lot of data, a lot of different layers, but I'm pleased they got King back. Song, a bit of a surprise. Is at the front end of something with Cronenworth? And how do they go fill what's left that needs to be filled? The floor, the podium, is yours with your opinions from left field.
Do you remember last time we got together, we were talking about the Padres, and I said Preller talks to all these teams.
All the time. And then suddenly a team out of nowhere will arrive, or a player that no one's talking about will suddenly be his acquisition. I mean, we had all kind of written off Michael King. You know, he was going to Boston or the Yankees or the Orioles, and he comes home. And then this Song kid, you know, that's from Korea, you know, no one was talking about another Korean infielder, you know, to come to join the team, and he comes on board. So Preller, I think, has all these smoke screens and things that he must leak out to the media. He's got to. But you're saying how Preller didn't talk with Michael King for 6 weeks. You got to believe that they must have had some sort of a discussion at the end of the season, you know, when they check out, you know, at the end of the year. Exit meeting, play the field, get back to me, let me know.
Exactly. And I think I'm assuming that was always sort of the handshake agreement. Get back to me, let me know what your value is, and at least give us a chance to put a bid on the table.
Well read by you. I also say there's intangibles. Working relationships. His relationships with people in Japan has led him to get a bunch of pitchers out of Japan that have really panned out, short-term or, in the Robert Suarez case, long-term. His relationship with Kaihum in Korea led him from Ha-Seong Kim to this guy. So relationships, working, staying in contact with everybody. And at the end of the day, like I said, jigsaw puzzle. Move this piece around. Does it fit? No, doesn't fit. We'll try this piece here. Maybe I need to go get a piece somewhere else and then make. That's who this guy is.
Yeah. And see, I like how he does this. I mean, to me, it's just so wonderful to have a GM that's, I mean, granted, he's got the financial resources, but he rolls the dice, you know, and he'll say, he'll try a guy like, you know, this Song kid from Korea. You know, they might hit a home run with him. He might end up being an everyday player at a really bargain price. Most likely, I think he's a depth piece. You know, he's probably some kind of a utility guy that can play everywhere, but you never know. There could be some upside. So
am I thinking outside the box because he got a Gold Glove at third? Might he be the third baseman and Manny Machado goes to first base?
No, I don't think that'll happen.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think Manny's ready to give up third, but I could see Cronenworth at first and this guy at second or vice versa.
Or Cronenworth trade chip, go get me a third starting pitcher for my rotation.
Yeah, exactly. But then to your other point, do you put Sheets at first? You still need another big bat, whether they're going to, you have Laureano will be in left. Maybe Sheets is your DH, so you need like another first baseman. There's some people on Padre Twitter that are still wondering if Tristan Casas, if the Red Sox is still in play. I mean, have you heard? I mean, we always talk in pitching because pitching is so valuable. But are you hearing any other rumors about hitters to join the Padres?
I think there's a whole lower layer of potential right-handed DHs that they could probably sign short-term contracts. I don't know if Nick Castellanos fits that mold, but he's going to be moved out of Philadelphia.
Justin Turner?
Yeah, but we're talking about that's a really aged player whose numbers have gone down.
Yeah.
But yet those type of guys, one-year rentals that fix the issue on the bench too. But I still think they have to find a third established starting pitcher who they can trust because Joe Musgrove, that could be half a year to get back into rhythm. It could be a full year. Sometimes guys coming off these surgeries, it takes them 1 full year on the mound to find themselves. Sometimes it takes them 2 full years. Sometimes they come back and they are who they are. Sometimes they come back and they're never who they used to be. So there's a big issue there. But there's a wave of other pitchers that are still on the trade block as we go to right after Christmas. But again, you got to give to get. If you want anybody out of Miami, you're going to give the Marlins something of significance. And I don't know what the Padres have really got left that they could afford to trade. Cronenworth is probably the most notable chip, and then maybe something from the lower farm systems. So,
well, all due respect to Cronenworth, if I'm the Marlins, I'm not thrilled about getting Jake Cronenworth. I mean, he's a solid piece, but he's not like a guy that's going to transform your organization.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I think the Padres need to get more than just one more reliable pitcher. You need to have 6 or 7 that you think could reasonably handle themselves at the major league level, because if Musgrove is iffy and someone else is going to have a bulky elbow at one point. I mean, just to be able to rotate enough guys through this food chain. Because if we have to go to our regular dudes like in AA, AAA, or like Russ Kinnear or some of those kind of names, then we're in trouble.
No, exactly. Now, they have signed 7 minor league pitchers in this offseason, but these are all guys that used to be something and got hurt or hit a wall and never got beyond that limit.
Well, Tristan McKenzie is one of those guys.
He had a good year and a half in Cleveland, then he got hurt, and last we checked, his ERA last year was 11.12. But the guy could throw the smoke out of the ball. But he's got to prove it that he can be consistent and get healthy again. Maybe he is. But they've signed 7 pitchers out of the minor leagues, and maybe they hit something there. Maybe some of these guys come out of AA that they've got hidden, and one of these guys is able to make the jump. But in terms of Mackenzie Gore, in terms of Alcantara for Miami, that takes a volume of stuff that would have to go the other way, and I just don't see Preller having that in his cash register to spend at this point. So, you're a Padre fan. We've just laid the groundwork of what heading to Christmas is. You got an early Christmas gift. You got Michael King, and you got a pretty good veteran player out of Korea, the third baseman, Sung. Jump on board. Fans Forum chat box is open for business for you to join us. We go from that. Boy, what an awful end of the week it was for Angel baseball, Angel ownership, Angel fans. Wow.
Yeah, wow. The trial concluded, right?
Let's talk about this. They were 1 hour away from the jury turning over its decision to the judge in the Tyler Skaggs drug death lawsuit. By 11 a.m., they had decided to settle out of court. Both sides met with the judge and said, we have reached agreement. To me, it was stunning that this is how we got to the finish line. These are the salient points in the out-of-court settlement. They're giving Skaggs' family $62 million in lost revenue for wrongful death. They're giving him $19 million for loss of life, and they're giving the family $10 million in punitive damages. That's about $92 million that the insurance companies and Artie Moreno will pay to the Skaggs estate. The jury foreman met with the media after the jury was released by the judge, and this is the part that just blew me away. 55% of the jurors had to fill out this poll as to how they got to this decision. 55%. Go ahead, put that back up. 55% blame the Angels for Tyler Skaggs' death. Only 15% blamed the pitcher himself. The jury foreman said the consensus in that room, I don't know if you've ever served on jury duty, but it's a unique experience. I was a jury foreman, I know. The consensus around that table, everyone in this story failed Tyler Skaggs. And they were very critical, the foreman said, of the Angels for violating their own human resources guidelines as it dealt with drug addictions, personal problems of employees. And, of course, they're all making reference to the fact Eric Kay was allowed to stay on the job for all his years despite his drug addictions. The Angels' interpretation of Eric Kay had a bipolar disorder and his prescription drugs are out of balance. The Angels maintain to this minute they had no knowledge that this guy was dealing drugs to players or that there was a drug culture in the clubhouse when obviously that turned out to be the true part of the story. And then the family made the comment on the steps of the courthouse in Santa Ana, we have asked Major League Baseball to do its own investigation, intercede, and discipline Artie Moreno and the entire Angels organization. I am shocked because Skaggs was doing drugs since 2011 till the night he died in 2019. Skaggs was fingered by his own teammates as being a drug distributor and introducing them to Eric Kay so he would be their drug courier. And then Skaggs OD'd on alcohol, oxycodone, and one fentanyl pill that killed him. The testimony from the toxicologist said that this guy was an addict beyond belief for 6 straight years and died because of his addiction. The one fentanyl pill should not have killed him, but the alcohol and the amount of oxycodone in his system killed him. So all that information was presented to you, to me, if we were sitting in the juror's box, and the jury, to me, ignored the reality that Tyler Skaggs is the one that killed himself. Do the Angels have dirt on their hands for failing their human resource guidelines, for allowing Eric Kay to continue to be employed? Probably do. But to hold the Angels accountable and not hold Tyler Skaggs accountable hardly at all? I mean, I was so offended by Friday afternoon. To me, it just looked like it was a family money grab and a retaliation against the Angels. And at the end of the day, John, we have a dead pitcher and we have an organization forever tainted by the death of another one of its players. I think it's a terrible story. Okay, so I've given you a lot of data, a lot of background, my emotion. What's yours?
A couple of things here. I mean, the first is that I agree with you. I think Tyler Skaggs bears the burden, the personal responsibility for his own life. So, but this is so representative of what we have going on in society, is that responsibility is always deflected to somebody else, you know.
Blame game.
You know, they're going to deflect and blame someone else, or they're going to go after the deep pockets or whatever it is. So I mean, so it's on one level, it's surprising that the jury was leaning that way, but they would have had to get a unanimous vote, right? So, or did they only need a majority in this case?
I think they needed 7 of 12, I believe.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is probably because it's civil, not criminal.
And I think they had 9 of 12.
So the other part about this that's really strange is, well, first of all, I'm sure Artie Moreno is happy that he's settled. You know, he wouldn't want this to go to court. But how do you put a price on 62 million wrongful death, 19 million loss of life, 10 million punitive? I mean, there are damages here that needs to be, but how do you come up with the number? The number just seems to be like made up. You know, it's like, how much can the other guy pay?
Well, they brought in executives who do contracts, and said this was Tyler Skaggs' worth at the point he was on the mound the night before he died. And this is the potential earning power he would have had for another 3 to 5 years.
Oh, okay.
But there was a massive difference as to what Skaggs' lawyers said he was worth versus what baseball executives said he was worth, because they felt he was declining. He had already had major injuries, and if the word got out that he had an addiction, his value would have been zero to anybody.
Okay.
So that's how they wound up with $62 million early on. It's just...
Well, the good news is this thing is settled, right? I mean, we can close the book on this and move forward.
Yeah, but how do you feel about Angel Baseball now? I mean, it's not only a bad product. Now, how are they viewed in their own community for mishandling the whole Eric K situation? Because they sure look stained in terms of that part of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this was going to be an ugly mess.
Dark.
No one's. I mean, it's like, wrestling with a pig in the mud. I mean, no one comes out clean.
Yeah, and how can anybody have a good feeling about who Tyler Skaggs was, what he should represent in death? Yeah, it's just dark and sad and tragic.
It's awful.
Waste of life. So you're an Angel fan. We've tried to cover this at both sides for you over the last 7 weeks of this trial. Feel free to join us. The Fans Forum chat box is open. I know we have followers in L.A., followers in Anaheim and Orange County. It's just a dark moment in the history of Angel Baseball, which has had a lot of dark moments with player deaths. Okay, we go from that. Baseball Notebook, John.
Yeah, we got some teams here. Weekend deals, Lee.
Yeah, let's just talk about what just happened. This is a little bit of surprise. We have 3 international players that a lot of people paid attention to. The pitcher, Imai, is still out there unsigned. The third baseman, first baseman, Muntaka Murakami, just signed with the White Sox. He didn't get what he thought he was going to get, but he had to take what was finally offered because the window was running out. Window was running out this afternoon at 5 o'clock. If he had not signed by today, he would have been gone back to Japan. Muntaka gets 2 years, $34 million from the White Sox. We know about his offensive stats. Dude can swing. 270 career average, 246 home runs. Dude doesn't play very good defense at first base. Dude doesn't run the bases very well. Dude strikes out 30% of the time. Can you say Dave Kingman?
Yeah, really.
So White Sox wind up with him. People looking at the White Sox and saying, really? Bad organization? You've been cheap forever? And you're paying this guy $17 million, hoping he's going to hit all these home runs and not strike out all the time. So that was a little bit of a strange acquisition. A lot of trades. Red Sox, Willen Castillo, catcher turned first baseman, St. Louis Cardinals, goes to Boston. That replaces the failure to get Peter Alonso. This guy can stroke, 270 hitter, hits home runs, plays a credible first base. He's the Red Sox new first baseman. 3 young pitchers go to St. Louis as part of the Castillo deal. St. Louis is in total teardown mode. Orioles, tell you what, they've become a player in the offseason, and Baltimore looks like they are going to be something to bear in the American League East. They just traded for Tampa Bay starting pitcher Shane Baz. He came in a 3-for-1 deal from Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh, in a bit of a surprise, takes on second baseman outfielder Brendan Lowe. He came from the Tampa Bay Rays in a 3-cornered trade that also involved the Houston Astros. Kansas City gets Matt Strahm from Philadelphia. I was surprised. Strahm had started in Kansas City, came to the Padres, became a free agent, got dealt away, went to Philly, pitched really well. Philadelphia just dealt him back to Kansas City. And now we're waiting because the rumor mill has hit the recycle button. Toronto spent the weekend talking to Alex Bregman. So the Jays are not done. Now Boston has reopened talks with Alex Bregman at the same time. The waiting game has also begun involving the Mets. The Mets talking to Bellinger. The Mets talking again to Bo Bichette. The silent one in all this, Yankees aren't doing anything, which really stuns me. I get the sense, though, and Kyle Tucker's name is still out there, obviously, to the Cubs, Kyle Tucker to Toronto, Kyle Tucker to the Mets. I get the sense Scott Boras is playing this shell game, moving the shells around, and we'll wait and see which shell pops open and the first guy signs, because that'll be the high bidding point for everybody else on the line. So I don't know whether the first guy now is going to be Bregman or whether it's going to be Tucker or whether it's going to be Cody Bellinger, and then other dominoes will start to fall. So that's where we are. Muntaka Murakami, your first baseman. Home runs or strikeouts with the White Sox?
Yeah, imagine if Murakami coming to America, it must be such a thrill for him, a goal perhaps he set to play on the biggest stage in the world. And, you got a clock that's ticking, and suddenly your best offer is the White Sox. I mean, that's got to be disappointing, to see everything that, Shohei Ohtani has achieved with the Dodgers and, all the other, Japanese superstars that have come to America and had great success. The White Sox are they're a team that just seems to be, in the south side of Chicago, in the baddest part of town. I mean, it's just rough over there.
I think the only rationalization is, okay, this was the best offer of the wafer-thin group of offers he got. But if he bets on himself and he turns out to be an established big league hitter and they can refine the strikeout issues, I mean, 31% strikeouts, that's a hell of a lot of Ks.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, but if they work on that and he proves he can do this, then he becomes a free agent in 2 years. He's back in the open market at age 30.
Yeah, well, maybe he's a DH, but I just like the internationalization of the sport. Yeah. I think that's really positive.
Not everybody can be Ichiro or Ohtani and expect to make that kind of money.
Well, yeah, of course.
Okay, baseball fans, feel free to jump on board. We're covering all these hot teams. You got a question, an answer, statement to make. Fans Forum chat box is open. Let's go from all things baseball because we're baseball-centric. But, man, do we know everything about the National Football League. Let's talk about the Chargers, the Dallas Cowboys.
Hacksaw knows everything about the Chargers.
I know everything about everything. Nice headline you came up with there, John. I knew you'd do this, drinking all that coffee in the morning. Chargers beat the Cowboys 34-17. Justin Herbert equals Superman. He throws for 300, 2 more touchdowns, and he broke their back, and he broke their heart, and he broke their spirit with another 33-yard run, which set up a score. Chargers had 425 yards in offense against the boys. That first half was wild, back and forth. Nobody was going to stop anybody. Dak Prescott threw for 244 and a couple touchdowns, most of it in the first half. George Pickens had 7 catches for 130 for the Cowboys. And then the Chargers started to blitz Dak and just disrupted the rhythm, and the Cowboy offense totally disappeared in the second half. Just go ahead and feel free to hit me in the head. I would have never, ever imagined, looking at the schedule, that this Charger team, with the defense and with a lack of help for Justin Herbert, that this Charger team would beat Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Dak Prescott on back-to-back-to-back Sundays. Quentin Johnston, where have you been all year? At least on this one given Sunday, he made a one-handed catch with a guy draped all over him, and then he made a 50-yard catch with a guy hanging around his neck along the way. 4 catches, 104 yards. At the end of the game, because everybody has to talk to the media in Dallas, Jerry Jones has to talk to the media. Jerry Jones used the word, we have underachieved as an organization, as a group of coaches, as a group of players, as a group of owners. He says, we will evaluate everything. Damn right you should. I think they're better than the 6-8-1 record indicates, but they're not very good in the defensive secondary. But Jerry Jones now openly admits we've underachieved. That's a non-playoff team. Second straight back-to-back losing seasons. That's hardly ever happened in Jerry Jones' tenure. But you're correct. Justin Herbert, Superman.
Yeah, it's just interesting to watch him navigate the pocket, because everything's collapsing, and usually the quarterback will sort of run left or right or backwards. But Herbert always stepped into it, and he always found an open spot, a seam, where he could then, you think he's about to run the ball, and then you realize, he's still behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets the pass off. So he was remarkable in that game. I mean, Quentin Johnston had a day. I mean, we were joking about it. We were texting, he said this happens like once a season, But I'm happy that he has some success, but it was fun also, like, because you talked about the Cowboys being a fun team to watch
offensively.
Yeah, and with Pickens and Lamb, I mean, those guys are hella good. So it was fun to see it all happen, but it was just the Chargers defense was better than the Cowboy defense.
Cowboy defense has been deplorable all year. I mean, they're giving up almost 400 yards a game on defense this late in the season. How about Jerry Jones? We underachieved. You think?
Well, that's usually the end of a season press conference every year for the Cowboys.
Okay, so you're a Charger fan, you're a Cowboy fan. They're dangerous. Damn, they're red hot. They've won 7 of their last 8. Now they get Houston at home on a short week Saturday, go to Denver to close it out. The critical thing is for them to be the number 1 wild card.
They could still win the division, though, couldn't they?
Well, they could, but they'd have to win in Denver, and that's hard.
Well, we said it was a 5-game, like a gauntlet they had to run. And they're 3 down, 2 more to go.
Anything is possible. Charger fan, Cowboy fan, fans forum, chat box is open. Want to hear from you. Let's take a look at the NFL scoreboard.
NFL scoreboard. Let's bring it up, and here we go. Big games.
Pittsburgh, Detroit. I never would have thought the Steelers could win in Detroit. And you may say, well, tainted call by the referees, avoiding the last play, game-winning touchdown by the Lions because the wide receiver pushed off on the goal line. But I tell you what, Aaron Rodgers looks really different. You talk about creating plays, moving the pocket, and zinging balls. He looks so different the second half of the year than he looked the first half of the season. And how about the running back, Jaylen Warren? Back-to-back 45-yard touchdown runs against Detroit, against the Lions defense. Pittsburgh had 481 yards in total offense. Hey, dumbass, you kept calling them pedestrian. What do you think about them now? Well, they're playing much better right now than they played for 2/3 of the season. And I guess that means Mike Tomlin will keep his job because there's not going to be a losing season in Pittsburgh, and they're going to win the AFC North.
Fire Mike Tomlin.
Yeah. Jared Goff threw for 364, 3 touchdowns. Detroit looks spent. They look really tired defensively, and their secondary's just been ruined by injury. So that's how Aaron Rodgers kept putting the ball up, but he was zinging that thing. So big Pittsburgh win, Detroit. Wife was happy. Jacksonville, Denver. This was a real surprise. Boy, whatever they're putting in Trevor Lawrence's coffee in that locker room, he needs to keep drinking it. The impact of Liam Cohen, his new head coach, on Trevor Lawrence. He looks so different as a quarterback right now in terms of aggressiveness, boldness going down the field. Trevor Lawrence throws for 279, 3 more touchdowns. Did not get phased, got sacked 5 times by the Orange Crush defense, and yet just kept chucking the football. Jacksonville is on a heater. And they survived Bo Nix. Bo Nix threw for 352, another touchdown, but he did turn the ball over 2 times. So I was really surprised Jacksonville went in and did that in Denver. New England, Baltimore, back and forth, seesaw. You talk about getting up off the deck. Ravens just grabbed this game by the throat, and then all of a sudden, New England roared. Drake May, 380 through the air, a couple more touchdowns. Stephon Diggs, no longer MIA. He's having a hell of a season, and he hadn't been like this for years. 9 catches, 138 yards. Baltimore done in. Lamar Jackson got hurt again, bruised back. Derrick Henry fumbled again, critical part of the game. Baltimore looks like they're dead. New England's a real deal. So New England and the Chargers, to me, as dominant as they are, I mean, New England's won 11 of its last 12. New England and the Chargers are really surprises in the AFC. We'll talk about the Rams game. Oh, that was awful. That Thursday loss to Seattle, that was crushing. You know, they wasted. Matthew Stafford throws for 457 and 3 touchdowns, and they lose. Puka Nacua had 12 catches for 255, and they lose. Sam Darnold went for 273 touchdowns in the Seattle come-from-behind win. And never in my life, and I've been doing this a long time, as witnessed by gray hair. Never in my life have I ever seen 3 2-point conversions by one team in an NFL game.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, it was really something. Chicago, Green Bay, just impressive. I felt really bad. Jordan Love just took a terrible blow to the head. There'll be a letter from the league with a fine coming, and he got hurt. Chicago beats Green Bay because Caleb Williams is playing lights-out football under that new coach, Ben Johnson. He throws a 47-yard touchdown at the end of overtime in the win. Green Bay's killing itself. They blew a 16-3 lead, and they failed to cover this new rule, onside kick.
Oh, yeah.
It's no longer a surprise. We are onside kicking it. Here's the alert. Here's the bulletin. And they failed to recover the onside kick.
Yeah, it took a wicked bounce.
Oh, man. So that's heartbreaking. So, wild games. Holy cow, 3 weeks left in the season. That's about as wild as it gets, John.
Yeah, I mean, the great storylines, all of these,
Yeah.
you know. But I want to go back to the Steelers-Lions and that play at the end of the game, you know, where, what was it? The receiver, what's his name? St. Brown, you know, and he went and he hit the Steeler defender, it was Jalen Ramsey.
Right on the goal line.
Right, and then to clear some space to receive the ball. Now, that was interference, offensive interference, but isn't, like, in the first 10 yards, it's legal for
5 yards.
Oh, the first 5 yards.
5 yards, chuck.
But the cornerback can chuck the receiver, but can the receiver chuck the cornerback?
There can be contact, but it can't be blatant. It can't be a hold, and it can't be this. The problem is the Lions wide receiver did it in full view of the whole nation because nobody was around them. It wasn't a crunch of players or referees. It was the wide receiver at the goal line and the DB, and he did this, and then stepped back, caught the pass. Now I got tackled too, but it was pass interference.
Yeah, well, I mean, then obviously it was forward progress was stopped, so the the lateral to Goff didn't count. So, anyways, that was a crazy game, and yeah, to your point, we had written Pittsburgh off, and then suddenly here they are, and Tomlin's going to have another season over 500. The Jags winning on the road, and I saw the post-game locker room talk by Liam Cohen, and he had his boys fired up, and he's like, "Hey, we're some small market team," and they're like, "Yeah, you know, they just like to be the little guy
on a mission."
Yeah, and they're like, you know, David taking down Goliath. I think that was great, and the Ram game on Thursday was nuts, you know, with all the double OT and everything else. So, and I'm so happy for Caleb Williams. I'm really happy for Bears fans. It just seems like they've suffered for so long, and they're in a position where, you know, how this all sorts out. I mean, they could be the number 1 seed potentially.
How about this Rams thing? They go from when we did the podcast Thursday, number 1 on the way to the Super Bowl, home field advantage through the whole bloody playoffs. They go from 1 to 5, just like that. Dropped. Now they're a wild card, losing home field, got to go on the road. And who's on the road? Cold weather Seattle.
Yeah.
Cold weather Chicago. Cold weather Philadelphia. Jeez.
Well, you know what's the other cool thing is the 49ers, if they win out, they're going to play every game at home. Have you seen the math on this? So, you know, I think they've got to play the Bears and
those are not gimme games.
No, they're not gimme games. I mean, was it the Bears and the Seahawks or something like that? And if they win they would then be the number 1 seed, and then if they played all their playoff games at home, and then the Super Bowl is in their stadium at Levi Stadium, and that would be kind of fun if that turned out that way.
You're showing your colors here.
Oh, yeah.
To quote your co-host, those are not gimme games.
No, not, you know, but it reminds me of 1984, the 49ers played the Dolphins in the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl was at Stanford Stadium, you know, just down the road. So it's kind of the same vibe if it turned out that way. So anyways, great weekend, surprise games, but lots of fun storylines.
Okay, you're an NFL fan. Fans Forum chat box is open because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Topics on the table, opinions on those topics on the table, and then we let you respond. Quickly, John, the medical report the day after the body bag report is really bad.
The body bag report. All right, here we go. Lamar Jackson at the top.
Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, he has got a bruised back, fell at a bad angle. No determination whether he's going to be ready to play. Their season looks like it's effectively over, even though Tyrone Huntley, I think, is a pretty good backup quarterback. A terrible story on Jordan Love. You don't want to see the video. A blatant face-first helmet hit. It was the third big hit. He got blown up 2 other times in just prior series, and this time a really bad head injury. They're doing x-rays on J.J. McCarthy. Comes off the field. He may have broken his throwing hand, hit it on the helmet of a Giant player. That poor guy just can't stay out of the blue tent. Terrible story involving a couple of other people. The Browns lose running back. Well, I'm sorry, the Kansas City quarterback, MINSHEW. He's gone. Torn ACL. Kansas City played a third-string quarterback who nobody knew who he was, and they lost to the Tennessee Titans.
Well, actually, I heard something on the news this morning that they ruled out the ACL. They did the inspection, and so, but that's what they all thought it was going to be, the ACL.
So, boy, really tough time for MINSHEW. Kansas City now 6-9. Can you believe that?
That's weird.
With all the injuries.
And they're going to play the Broncos on like around Christmas, right?
Yes.
I mean, that could have been a marquee game, and now it won't be.
Past tense. The last one there is Quinshawn Judkens. Terrible injury. Young running back rookie at Ohio State. Dislocated ankle, fractured leg. The NFL has this theory. The media comes up with this thing. If you're a quarterback under pressure and you make a bad pass and that receiver gets devastated because you threw a medicine ball, that's what Shedeur Sanders did. He hung that kid running back out to dry on a wobbly bad pass, and that kid got killed. So Judkins, major surgery, very bad leg injury. On top of that, Travion Henderson of New England, significant concussion. Looks like he may miss the rest of the regular season. And Arizona's had a miserable year. And in a span of 2 possessions yesterday, they lost their number 1 draft pick, Walter Nolan, and they lost one of their young cornerbacks, Garrett Williams, ruptured Achilles. Both of them making a move on a field, not got hit, just planted to move, cut, leg exploded. And that was on back-to-back possessions. Just the body bag count in the NFL the last 2 weeks has just been vicious.
The body bag count. Just such a classic Axon thing. Okay, the hit on Jordan Love was vicious.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that. I mean, that was like...
Head on, face first, with intent.
And then you just see when they fall back and their body goes limp. And then you're like, oh, my God.
And then you see this, which is a sign of a concussion.
Yeah.
Just awful.
It really is. But you know who played really well? I mean, it was the guy that subbed for Lamar Jackson last night. What was it? Malik Willis? Is that it?
No, Malik Willis is the backup in Green Bay. Tyler Huntley, longtime journeyman, is the backup in Baltimore.
I'm getting them mixed up. Right. But Malik Willis did a really good job. Yep. You know, so I was impressed with him. And then, by the way, Gardner Minshew, it's funny. He's a little bit of a cartoon character. You know, I mean, like this picture of him that we got. You know, he's just always doing something kind of funny. But when he went down, it was like an awkward fall on his leg, and it looked like his knee was whacked out. So, but hope he comes around. The Chiefs have to get another quarterback off the street, right?
Yeah, they'll find somebody. But I mean, it's unbelievable. They're going to finish 6-11. That's amazing. An Andy Reid team winding up 6-11. That's the potential of what's out there. What a miserable.
That's weird.
Yeah. Okay, that's all things NFL. Feel free to join us. Hey, we are at halftime. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you across Southern California. If you got needs, they've got lumber. You want ideas, they can help you a great deal. They can be your best friend in terms of renovation at your home. And, of course, DIXIELINE for last-minute Christmas shoppers. Don't forget the tool walls at each of the DIXIELINE centers. The DIXIELINE gift card, John, kind of unique.
It is, you know, and it's, you know, DIXIELINE means so many things to so many different people. I mean, everyone knows that they're a lumber company, right? And they kind of help build San Diego. We need new houses in San Diego. But to your point, there are actually, it's like a guy's, you know, almost like a guy's toy store, you know?
Toolbox.
Yeah. So if you go down there, you can get like some power tools. You can get some accessories, a lot of interesting things. Have you ever seen like Milwaukee has these power tool setups, but they all link together in boxes, and you can like put in like a stereo in one of them or an ice cooler in one of them, and you have your tools there together. Some really cool dad gifts that you can get at Dixieline Lumber, or just get the gift card, a great stocking stuffer.
Dixieline. Go to Dixieline.com. Just see all the things they have to offer. We are at halftime. When we're done with topics on the table, because we do sports talk the way it should be done, we open it up to you. John, for everybody joining us in the chat box, just explain how Fans Forum works.
In the chat box. Okay, so if you want to get involved, you have a question or comment for Hacksaw in the world of sports, just, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. We'll get you involved. And, boy, we see Retro and Casey, and who is in here? Daniel. And we've got, more names than I can list. So we'll get you all in.
Okay. Fans Forum comes up right at the end after we're done talking about the big stories of the day. Couple of program notes. We're going to be off for the Christmas holiday. We're going to be back here next Monday. So our next regular program will be Monday at 1:30, but we're going to do something different to celebrate Christmas. 3 years ago, when we launched this podcast, we started we now have almost 10,000 subscribers. John said, come talk to me about the history of sports talk radio. So we did. It was kind of an experimental thing to see how we'd feel about doing a podcast. Me with my opinions, him with his ideas from left field. So we did our first podcast together on his podcast, and it was rousing success. So what we're going to do, he's going to post it Christmas Day or Friday. It's History of Hacksaw. It's a look at how this happened, how I became who I became, where I came from, all the stuff that happened, that we built this sports talk empire on the West Coast, Southern California. So if you got some downtime, when you're done with eggnog and all the food, just go to the YouTube channel. It'll be posted probably sometime by Christmas Day. You could watch it Thursday, watch it Friday, watch it on the weekend. History of Hacksaw, we think it's kind of different. But we will be back here on Monday, regular schedule at 1:30. Okay, John, we had a lot more to talk about. We're going from all things NFL to talk college football.
College football, the playoffs. A lot of controversy.
Not very impressive games, if you ask me, but we all have opinions. Miami takes apart Texas A&M. Couldn't believe how badly the Aggies played. Couldn't believe how amped up the Hurricanes' defense was. Marcel Reed, who I thought could be a Heisman Trophy candidate this year, going to be a Heisman candidate next year, he turned the ball over. Miami's defense is much better than anybody realizes. Their quarterback didn't play very well. 4 missed field goals in the game.
Yeah.
10-3 final score.
Yeah.
I didn't think Miami's win over Texas A&M was really impressive. Alabama's come from behind win over Oklahoma was good. Sorry they ruined your weekend. 17-0 Boomer Sooner lead, and Alabama reeled off 24 points in a row. Did it with their defense. You know, we've always talked about Crimson Tide quarterback, Crimson Tide running game. How about Crimson Tide defense? 5 sacks, 7 tackles for losses, and a game-changing pick 6 along the way. Johnny Mateer threw for 307, but, man, the turnovers kind of killed Oklahoma. So Bama earned that win. Ole Miss Tulane, that was really bad. Trinidad Chambliss throws for 307. They ran for 151. They stomped them again. They played during the regular season and beat them 45-10, did the exact same thing in the playoffs. And Oregon, James Madison. Out of the gate, 5 straight possessions the Ducks scored up in Eugene. At one point, it was 34-3, and that was only in the second quarter. They wound up winning that game. Oregon had 514 yards. Dante Moore threw for 304 and 4 touchdowns. That kid can zing it. Dan Lanning pulled his starters on defense. He played all his backups. They let James Madison put some scoring drives together. But at the end of the day, the Dukes had no chance against the Ducks, and it then leads to the big argument. Why are these guys even invited to the party? So those are the playoff games that we saw. Now, everybody gets a bye and then we're going to move to the second round where Ohio State's going to be playing, and Indiana's going to be playing, and Georgia's going to be playing.
So 2 weeks?
And Texas Raiders. They'll be off till New Year's weekend.
Oh, wow.
So that's where we are. So tell me what you thought.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, all these games. I mean, the Miami Texas A&M game was weird. You know, it just the ball wasn't moving a lot. But you know what was interesting is I'm just looking at all the fans there at is it College Station? Mm-hmm. Okay, and I noticed a lot of military in the crowd, and I looked it up while I was watching the game. And
it's a big military academic program.
See, I didn't know that, you know. So it was interesting to learn a little bit more about that. Yeah, the Oklahoma, man, they got off to a fast start against Alabama, and I thought this is going to be great. And then suddenly, nothing they did worked.
Pick six going the other way.
Yeah, it was pick six. They would fumble the ball. It was just awful. It was just and they lost at home in Norman. You know, both of these games the visiting team won. Yep. And then as far as the other games, yeah, they were lopsided. We kind of knew they were going to be lopsided, but I'm just still happy that the group of 5 teams are in the mix, and they need to be included. And you know what? We're probably going to see some lopsided games in the next round. So I think we need to keep the group of 5 as part of the mix somehow, some way.
I would say a year from now, we'll be talking and arguing because they're going to change it. They're going to make this the Power 4 playoff. And then they're going to have a second series for the best teams from what they're going to call the Group of 6. And that includes the new Pac-12. Nobody's going to be happy. There's so much argument about that. But that's another topic for another day once we get beyond the playoffs. We go from that, notebook, college athletics, a lot of other stories.
Yeah, stories starting with the Aztecs.
This is terrible. This is going to be hard now. Aztecs having a really good season, going to the New Mexico Bowl. I'm going to play North Texas State. By the way, their quarterback is going to play against San Diego State, even though he's going to the transfer portal. But San Diego State's quarterback is not going to play. Jaden Denegal, surgery this past Wednesday, labrum. He got hurt the first game of the season, got hurt mid-season, injured both shoulders. They braced him up. He played. He didn't play very well over the entire big picture of things. So they got to play Bert Emanuel as their starting quarterback. He can't throw the football. He started at Central Michigan, but he's more of a running quarterback. So Aztecs are going to play power ball to try to beat North Texas State, and they got the 3 running backs, and Bert Emanuel runs some. I just don't think they're going to be able to throw the football down the field. Michigan, another day, another story, series of stories. This story is not going away. New York Times reported early today that Michigan coaches met with the administrators and feared Sharon Moore is having mental health problems during the entire football season.
Oh.
There are reports now that Sharon Moore, in his private time, was using direct messaging, Instagram, texting women he did not know that he was attracted to, and making bold statements to these women via direct message.
Whoa.
They found out at staff meetings he would start crying in front of his coaches. They also found out that in private meetings he was volatile and was threatening all those coaches on the staff for no reason whatsoever. There were feelings that he was having a mental health breakdown. Here's the shocker. All this went on all season long. And the Michigan administration was aware because people had gone to them and said, we're worried about this. And that athletic director did nothing. He let this stuff go on and on and on. The culture of Michigan football under Ward Manuel, the athletic director, Sharon Moore, prior to that Harbaugh and all those scandals, this is terrible. Michigan man, huh? I don't want to be involved with a Michigan man. Just a terrible story there. Southern Cal. End of the rivalry. This is really disgraceful. Even worse is the embarrassment of the press release that I got in the email today. USC's Notre Dame rivalry will cease to exist. It's not going to be played in 26, not going to be played in 27. All kinds of angles and reasons and rationales. At the end of the day, the Irish and the Trojans don't want to put in jeopardy, quote, their ranking in the college football playoffs, so therefore we'll eradicate a rivalry game on our schedule. USC is whining about travel back and forth, Big Ten. Notre Dame says, look at who we're playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. They don't want to go forward. There were proposals made because of scheduling. How do we schedule it? Do we put it at the end of the season? No, we can't do that. It would impact us in the college football polls. Do we put it in the beginning of the season and make it a week 0 game that everybody pay attention to? No, we don't want to do that because it's another tough non-conference game. This is so bizarre. And how dare them talk about the history of this rivalry that goes back to 1926 and make reference to the respect of the jeweled shillelagh. And yet they're canceling the bloody contract.
The jeweled shillelagh?
That's what it's called.
I never heard that.
That's the trophy for Southern Cal versus Notre Dame.
Well, it's an Irish stick.
Yeah, exactly. How embarrassing is this to college football? We love it, but we don't want to play it because it might impact us. Yeah, USC. Here's the director. Here's the phone numbers of all the 1AA schools in the country you can schedule next. God, you're driving me crazy. What a great rivalry this is. I don't know. Any Trojan fans fed up with this whole storyline? Any Irish fans? Catholic line? Call us. Let us know. Damn. When I got the press release, I went, you got to be kidding me. Got to be kidding me. No, I'm not buying all this crapola. So, anyhow, John, there we are. Start with the Aztecs, work your way through Ann Arbor. Go ahead. Heritage Hall and stop off there. Touchdown Jesus in South Bend.
I know. Catholic line. Give us a call. Okay. The whole San Diego State thing is it's difficult. I mean, Denegal. Yeah, I mean, he needed to get surgery. It's a shame. Bert Emanuel get his chance, and so let's just hope for the best. I mean, when Emanuel came in the game, he always was running. You knew when the minute he came in, it was going to be some sort of a keeper play or something.
Well, they'll play power ball against North Texas State because that is what they can do. And they got to keep that kid quarterback as being allowed to play, even though he's going to the portal. They got to keep Mestemaker off the field. Because dude threw for 4,000 yards this year.
Yeah, that's what I remember. We were talking a little bit about that when he went in the portal, if he was going to play. The Michigan thing, I think you're right on target because it's just a disgrace on the brand of Michigan, the university, that are sort of a win at all costs kind of it doesn't demonstrate ethics.
Look the other way.
Yeah, so as long as Sharon Moore's winning games, we're going to put up with this crap that's going on, and really, why aren't, we were talking about the Tyler Skaggs thing. Why isn't Michigan helping this guy out? I mean, if it's clear that he's got mental issues. So the whole thing is just a disgrace. And then finally, what's interesting in the Notre Dame SC thing is it's awful that a rivalry ends, but consider that USC in their schedule in the Big 10, which is 14 schools? Is that what it is? Or
18.
It's 18.
Yep.
So it's impossible to play every team in your conference one time. So then you have to make decisions on your out-of-conference schedule and who you're going to cherry pick. So the point is that for all of these teams, when you get down to selection day for who's going to be in the playoff and who's going to be in the bowl games, everyone is sort of handpicked their schedule to sort of be just right. It's not like the NFL where there's like a proper rotation that you play, like the teams in your division and you rotate through other divisions, and it's sort of mathematically symmetrical over a period of years. So the football scheduling, it's almost like mob bosses, like the mafia putting the thing together.
So you're excited about USC, Western Kentucky, USC, William and Mary.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just like cupcakes, and it's a shame. I mean, now I want to ask you also this, like from Southern California perspective, I know there's a lot of reverence to the tradition of the Notre Dame SC rivalry, but does Chicagoland and Notre Dame fans feel the same?
I think they're really upset historically. I mean, I don't think, in all honesty, they're excited about Notre Dame playing Wake Forest. They'd rather have, why the hell are you in the ACC? You're not a Deep South thing.
Yeah,
why don't you just
Deep South thing?
Yeah, just play Southern Cal.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think Notre Dame always gets their own little privileges, is that an independent. They should just join a conference and just be done with it,
Okay.
Rather than being this like elitist white tower. It's a mess.
You're a college football fan. We just hit a couple of hot buttons here. Feel free. Are there any Michigan men out there that would like to join this conversation? Would you please evaluate being a Michigan man now? You're the one standing up with the M with a coffee stain on it now. Talk about that. Talk about Southern Cal. Talk about Notre Dame. Briefly, we're going to go other places before we open it up. The Fans Forum chat box is open for business. Get in line. We're talking basketball. Do we have to talk basketball? God, that was bad basketball.
Hey, it was good for the first half.
San Diego State, they got torched by Arizona. Played 18 minutes of flashback basketball, though. They played really well for 18 minutes. I went, wow. I mean, they clamped Arizona down defensively. They played really well on the perimeter. They did not get bullied on the boards for 18 minutes. And then there were fouls and a technical foul, and then there was an 8-0 Arizona run. And it went from an Aztec 8-point lead to a Wildcat lead at halftime. And the second half was just destruction. Poor San Diego State. They got buried for 22 minutes. They got out-rebounded 52-28.
Yeah.
They got outshot. At one point, Aztecs were 1 for 14 from the three-point line. They shot 26% from the game. And all I could think to myself is, here we are. We've gone through this whole non-conference schedule, and we're on the brink of going back into the Mountain West Conference at San Diego State basketball. They don't know who they are. Nothing seems to fit. There's no continuity. There's no consistency from the guys on the floor. I am willing, and I said this on KUSI TV because they were barking about it, and I said it Saturday morning in my sports package. Let's give Guath this corner. It's just going to take time for him to completely come back from the knee surgery. He's got to get through the mental hurdle of, can I plant, can I explode, can I leap, what will it feel like? I don't get the sense he's there. On this corner, I have no idea who Miles Byrd is and why his game has eradicated again. He was terrible against big-time competition, and he's been erratic in this non-conference schedule almost since the start of the season. And I think Brian Dutcher is just struggling with continuity. I'm putting my trust that Guath will be okay as we build through the season. I'm putting my belief, in all honesty, that B.J. Davis, Compton, that they're going to become cornerstone guys. Heidi has made a jump and is much more trustworthy now. Little surprised that Reese Waters has not been very consistent. Sean Newman offensively can't play at this level. Maybe he does some other things there. So there's just a bunch of pieces that just don't fit. And here's the other factor. The whole freaking nation is watching this game. And now what are they thinking when they play San Diego State? Well, gee, I thought they played Gonzaga last year. Yeah, and they got beat by 18. Oh, they played North Carolina. Oh, hell yeah, they were losing by 40. Ooh, they lost by 40 to Michigan. And they were down by 35 in this game. San Diego State is no longer national elite, even though our community loves the fact they go to March Madness. Overscheduled? Well, if you're going to be a big boy, then you need to play some big boys, and they haven't played well against any of the top nationally ranked teams at all. So I think they'll fix it. They'll get progressively better, building through the Mountain West thing till we get to the Mountain West Conference tournament. But, boy, they sure don't look like what we expected them to look like, do they?
Yeah, we had high expectations for this team. And I don't think any of us thought they were going to beat number one Arizona. I mean, in fact, I don't know if everyone thought Arizona would be number one, when they made the schedule. But, I'm not going to call out Miles Byrd as terrible. I mean, come on, man.
You're averaging 9 points a game and you're shooting less than 40%.
Yeah, he's playing below standards, no doubt about it.
Erratic.
He's been erratic, but I'm not going to say the dude's terrible. It was just Arizona was a beast that we knew that it would have been a miracle for the Aztecs to win this game. I mean,
well, not just being competitive in the game.
Well, they were competitive in that first half, and I was like, hey, they're showing me something. Finally, the defense has showed up.
And it disappeared.
Then it disappeared. But some of those dudes on Arizona, It was like that Rocky IV movie where he fought the Russian, where some of these guys were gigantic with broad shoulders. And I saw like Miles Heide standing next to him, and Miles Heide looked like Spud Webb. I mean, it was just, these guys were huge. So I'm impressed. I think personally the Aztecs showed me something in the first half, but geez, that second half, they couldn't buy a shot, and it felt like they were rushing. They were kind of going too fast, and they were just so ice cold shooting. I just think they got out of their heads in the second half.
So I think they'll get progressively better and better. And let's just give Guath a window here just to grow back from the knee injury. And somebody find me a solution. Run the offense through Miles Byrd, and let's get his confidence rebuilt, because he does not look like the player we saw for chunks of time last season. And that to me is a shocker, because I thought everything he did in the offseason and the summer, the workouts, testing himself against other top draft picks, that he would come back and he'd be a complete player. And he looks so far removed from being a consistent player now. It just boggles my mind.
Yeah, well, give him some time. I mean, granted, they're playing Whittier today in the afternoon, I think right when we're doing this live stream. But Mountain West play is going to start here soon. San Jose State. Right. We're going to kick off the Mountain West schedule. That's where we're going to really find out really kind of where we are. But the way this non-conference schedule shook out, there are no marquee wins. I mean, you got Utah Valley and Oregon's having a down year. I mean, so they've got to win the conference tournament, or at least make the finals in the tournament to make March Madness.
Okay, you're an Aztec fan? Feel free. Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. Speaking of hoops, let's quickly, bullet points in the NBA.
Yeah, Lakers, Clippers, and the ladies.
Boy, Lakers got beat. That's not a problem. They get beat by the Clippers. That is a problem. And Luka Doncic got hurt. Again, he got kicked in the calf. Accidental, but he's down. And so they now have 4 guys out with injuries, led by Luka. Ayton, who I've been very disappointed with his inconsistency. Austin Reeves has got the calf. Hachimura's got a back problem again. So LeBron's piling up minutes. LeBron had 36, but there's nobody else that scored because the rest of the bench is ragtag. So the Lakers lose Luka, and that's a concern as to how long he's going to be out with a bruised calf. Worse for the Clippers. Yeah, they beat the Lakers, but they just turned around and lost Ivica Zubac. Severe ankle sprain, 4 to 5 weeks minimum. Kawhi Leonard was asked to play 42 minutes the other night, and he had to. They're 7-21, the Clippers are right now. Brutal. And the report, as of noon today, they have put James Harden on the trade block. So it's obvious to me they are about to go into rebuild mode. And they were talking to Toronto about a Zubac trade up until the fact that Zubac got hurt on the weekend. So it sure looks like the Clippers are in rebuild mode. And the last thing is, nobody wants to talk about this, but this is right on the horizon, right there on the street corner. WNBA players quietly on Friday night voted to authorize the union to strike. They are fed up that they've not been able to get a new collective bargaining agreement. The WNBA owners have said, listen, we have offered you big pay hikes in every category, superstar category, massive roster, minimum wage, all big increases. To which the union's response is, through Caitlin Clark and the others, Kelsey Plum was very vocal about this. You weren't paying us to begin with, and you've offered us only 13% total. We need to get to 30% total to get a fair share of who we are because we built this league. So they're going in the wrong direction. And then Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, announces on Sunday he'd be willing to become a third-party mediator. He would inject himself into the middle. Oh, wait a minute. Time out.
Okay.
Adam Silver works for the NBA owners. Who owns the majority of stock in the WNBA teams?
Oh, yeah. The
NBA owners.
A little conflict of interest.
Oh, you think there's going to be a fair assessment of what's right, what's wrong? I hate to think that they go out on strike after all the gains that the WNBA has made with the arrival of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all these other stars. But they authorized the union on Friday night You go ahead and do the strike if you want. And this window of negotiation is closing very, very fast. I think it's January 2nd. So this would be terrible, terrible setback there. You want to comment about battered Lakers, wiped out Clippers, all bad things, women's basketball?
Yeah, I mean, the injuries are a shame. Mm-hmm. But, it makes me wonder also if, this is kind of load management in a way, where they're, a guy literally gets dinged. That's a problem. I mean, Zubac sounds like a more serious problem, but, they'll let them take time, maybe extra time to kind of come back. Mm-hmm. So, which invites the question, is the NBA season too long?
Yep.
And I think there's an argument to be made for that. So it's still early, and we got the Christmas games, but I don't think Luka's playing on Christmas. The WNBA thing is interesting to me because I know in the beginning, they were subsidized by the NBA. But now with all the attention the league gets, the WNBA, and you got Caitlin Clark and the Fever like selling out every arena around America. I'd imagine the WNBA revenues are up a lot. And so you would expect salaries for the players to go up a lot. But are we expecting that the pay for the players is a function of the total revenue of the WNBA, or are we assuming that the NBA still needs to be feeding them money to keep them afloat?
Well, the NBA owners still own a preponderance of WNBA teams, so they have wealth. And the value of the TV contract has triggered enormous revenue growth in the WNBA.
Right.
Ticket sales, unbelievable. TV ratings, all the ancillary jerseys and uniforms are phenomenal. What Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all them have brought. At the end of the day, they say, you weren't paying us to begin with, and now you're giving us a pay bump and say you should be happy with a 13% thing where the NBA gets 41%. They want 30% for the women.
Oh, you mean a percentage of total revenue?
Gross revenue.
Yeah, 13% is comically low. Yeah, but then again, their revenues, are significantly, increased. So it almost would be helpful to be kind of transparent with the books, especially since they're going through this maturation phase with WNBA, where every year it's radically different because everything's increasing so fast. You bring in the union and just say, hey, this is what our total revenue is. And this is what it costs to run these arenas and pay for the staff. And this is a reasonable amount that we can have left over for the players. So the players can see if they're getting squeezed or not.
They were getting screwed. They were getting 2% revenue.
But that's not enough.
And now the proposal is 13. But the NBA, which has got a mega media contract, those guys are getting 41%.
Yeah, but they're bringing in so much more money. So there's the ability you can share more if you're bringing in more. You know what I mean? So I just want to get to a point where the WNBA is self-sufficient. I don't want to see them subsidized by the NBA owners or feel an obligation to subsidize them. If they choose to, great. But I think the women should live on the revenue that the ladies bring in.
Okay. Fans Forum chat box is open. You want to shoot a three-point shot, go ahead. Quickly, Hockey Hotline.
Hockey Hotline. Let's bring up the list here. We've got the LA Kings.
They continue to scuffle, to struggle to score goals. They have now dispatched one of the guys that they acquired a couple of years ago who played really well. Not playing well this season. Philippe Deneau, excellent center iceman, checker, leader, had not scored in 32 games. They traded Deneau back to the Montreal Canadiens. Probably a win-win deal. He goes back to French Quebec, where he's from. They get the Montreal Canadiens' second-round draft pick. That's pretty good for a 32-year-old center iceman. The other story is not getting a lot of play here because the damn newspaper in town does virtually nothing to cover the American Hockey League team. San Diego Gulls, back-to-back road games in Calgary in the American Hockey League on the weekend, set team records. They had 50 shots in one game they won. They had 53 last night in Calgary, and they lost. They are really playing very well together. That coaching staff, led by Matt McTavish, has done a really good job. The Ducks have left virtually all these kids here this year. Kids are playing better, even though there's been a revolving door at goaltender because of injuries up top. This is pretty good. And their crowds, this first half of the season, prior Christmas, have really been good. So this Gulls team is right now on the road towards making the playoffs. I think heading to Calgary, I think they were 2 points out of fourth place in the standings. And they've been, in their division, they haven't been in fourth place in 4 years. They're usually eighth or ninth. So they've made some real progress. You're a hockey fan. Sample Gulls puck. It's pretty impressive. You shoot 50 and 53 shots on the road, back-to-back games. That's pretty impressive.
I just like the part about you taking a shot at the San Diego Union Tribune.
Damn right.
You could be like a media critic, like a little side gig for you.
I volunteer for that. I have opinions on everything.
Yeah,
those guys included.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's a minor league hockey team, so it makes you kind of wonder how much coverage do minor league hockey teams get? Like if you're the team in Bakersfield, they're probably going to have decent coverage, but any other minor league teams in major league cities probably don't get much attention.
We're almost at Christmas. They have written 2 articles on the Gulls the entire season. Two.
Well, yeah, but that newspaper industry is just shriveling up.
Doesn't matter. There are creative stories everywhere. If you can flood my newspaper with all things soccer, from SDFC to the Wave to MLS, and that's fine. You want to cover the success that the SDFC is. If you can overwhelm me with all that, you should be able to give these guys some type of coverage on a consistent basis. And they just ignore it. I don't understand it at all. And this has been a successful franchise.
Well, they probably don't have a big staff, I'd imagine.
Doesn't matter.
And maybe the staff they have, they're just like soccer guys.
No, that's ridiculous.
I know. I don't know. It's just
you've said stupid things on this podcast, but that
it is just weird, So, anyways, I'm happy for the Gulls, and I'm happy for the fans. It's like this stealth group of hockey fans that are here in San Diego that suddenly show up at the sports arena.
You know how many 10 to 12,000 crowds have had the first half of the season, and normally their attendance would start to spike once we got through the Christmas holidays. I would hope they would get more coverage. They deserve more coverage. If you're going to cover everything else lacrosse, rugby, where's my coverage on the Gulls? I got no problem with covering lacrosse and rugby and the pro leagues that are here. What about those guys?
Okay.
I'm sorry. 5-minute penalty. I'll cross-check the Union Tribune in the face because I think they've done a poor job in terms of treating the hockey team. Feel free. Jump on board. Last set of topics on the table. Here we go. Hot headlines.
The high-speed sports wire.
Let's just talk about names in the news. Terrible story. We talked last week about the tragic death of Greg Biffle, the NASCAR driver. He was very much an accomplished pilot. He was taken off from Statesville, North Carolina, got his Learjet airborne, encountered problems, turned to make an emergency landing. He was on approach, and he lost control, came in and hit light towers at the edge of the runway, exploded. All 7 people killed. NASCAR morning. He was a hell of a guy. He's from Oregon, lived down in Orange County for a while, then moved to the Carolinas. He did 2 years ago, as an accomplished helicopter pilot, he flew Mercy missions. And do you remember, we've talked about Asheville, North Carolina. They had terrible hurricane damage.
Oh, yeah.
He flew Mercy missions for a whole week, paid for it out of his own pocket, flying supplies, doctors to the backwoods of North Carolina to treat people.
Really?
NASCAR is really in mourning over the loss of Greg Biffle. Weird story. Sir Lewis Hamilton, Formula One driver, went from Mercedes to Ferrari. What a miserable season they had. Never got on the podium, and he was angry at everybody, etc. Strange press conference this past week over in England. He says he's going to unplug. He's going to detox himself from coverage of F1, does not want to talk to anybody. He says, this was the most miserable year of my life. We failed everybody. Use the word detox is kind of weird, but he does not have drug problems. But it was just a strange way to deliver a Christmas message. Boxing. Did you see this?
Yeah, I saw the highlights.
You saw Josh Paul.
Yeah. Jake Paul.
I'm Jake Paul. Jake Paul got killed by Anthony Joshua. It was more wrestling than it was boxing. And then Joshua just broke his jaw. One punch broke both sides of a jaw. So how does Jake Paul qualify to be in a, quote, heavyweight championship match when he's more UFC than it looked like cage wrestling, and then they get pounded and they grab and hold on. And people buy that? Are you kidding me?
Well, didn't he just fight Mike Tyson like about a year ago or something?
No, it was canceled. They never fought, I don't think.
No, well, he was in some other bout recently, but Jake Paul strikes me as like a cartoon character. Yeah. He's like an Instagram influencer, and he boxes, but he's got a funky celebrity to him. Lewis Hamilton, the way you were describing it, reminded me of your old colleague Jim Rome, because when he would go on vacation, he'd say, "I'm going down to the basement. I'm going to suck on some batteries," which is the same kind of thing. It's like you need to detox, to kind of cleanse.
Step away.
Yeah, step away and kind of reset your mind, because Lewis Hamilton definitely needs a reset. And the Greg Biffle story is just tragic, but doesn't it remind you a little bit about the Payne Stewart crash? And because these guys were both pilots, right? And
yes.
They both had these unfortunate tragedies. Yeah, we lost a good one in Greg.
Yeah, there are a lot of NASCAR drivers who have their pilot's license. He was licensed in 3 different types of aircrafts. And like I said, he had a really unique philosophy. I've made all this money. I live a great life in North Carolina, and I'm going to spend all this money to help people. What he did, I read the descriptions, what he did for like 6 days in a row at the peak of the travesty and the tragedy. He did more for the people in the backwoods of North Carolina, and he paid for it himself. Flying all the supplies and doctors into the hurricane victims near Asheville and in the inner valleys there. Just tough story to follow.
A lot of those people were very isolated, and
yes.
A helicopter would sure do them good.
And the video, I saw the video of the crash. It was horrible. It happened so quick. And obviously they don't know. There's no black box on his plane. They don't know what broke, what happened. But that thing was coming down, and then all of a sudden it exploded because we find out now that he hit the light standards at the edge of the runway going in. Came in too low and couldn't get the altitude to get it back down. So, terrible story. Okay, those are hot topics on the table. Your turn. Here comes Fans Forum. You got questions, we got answers. Feel free. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you. Last-minute Christmas shoppers, go to the website, DIXIELINE.com, see all the things they have to offer. Just a program reminder, we're going to be off on Christmas Day. We're going to do something special. We're going to do Hacksaw's History. It's the first podcast John and I ever did. It was an experiment to see what it would like. But John is enthralled by who I am, where I came from, what we did, how we made this thing so great on West Coast of Sports Talk Radio. So Christmas Day or Friday or Saturday, Sunday, because we're going to be off at the end of the week. Just type that in. I think you'll really get a kick out of Hacksaw History. We'll be back Monday, regular schedule at 1:30. The Bad Christmas Tie Exchange.
Okay. Right? All right.
John, here comes Fans Forum. Let's buzz and see how many we can get through.
Okay, let's go to music to my ears to kick us off. Thank you very much for the donation. Hey, fascinated with the Mike Francesca's take on Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor relationship. McNeil traded because of issues with Lindor. Nimmo traded as well because of Lindor. Are they doomed to fail?
Well, they seem to be failing right now because, their roster is ragtag, even though they got Soto. But they're not done. There's still time for them to make more transactions. It's interesting, though, because I'm not sure at least the media guys that I kind of run with, they're saying it wasn't so much Lindor as it was Nimmo. And we've all had the experience with Soto. So was it on Soto rather than Lindor? That's a huge question. If Lindor was a bad dude, then maybe Lindor was the one that should have been traded. But some of the New York guys that I are on my network with are of the opinion this was more about the guys that got rid of rather than Francisco Lindor.
It's a mess with that team right now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, and I saw like a proposed batting order for the Mets this morning, and you had like Lindor and Soto at the top, and then the other 7 guys, I don't know who the hell they are.
Well, McNeil is still there. But it'll be very interesting to see if they wind up with Bregman. They're still pushing hard and spending money, so
Mets fan, man. I mean, it's just amazing that, even the Mets and to a degree the Yankees, you could have all the money in the world and you can still screw it up.
Doesn't guarantee. I mean, the Yankees have no healthy pitching staff right now, and the Mets have got a truckload of really good young starters. But if you're committing to all those starters effective opening day, there's going to be a learning curve season, which means you're not going to be in the playoffs again next year. That's not acceptable to a New York Met fan. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's keep going. We'll go to Casey. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, not happy. The USC versus Notre Dame series is ending. With it ending, who is USC planning to schedule in place of Notre Dame?
Are you excited? Western Kentucky. Or maybe it's William and Mary. Let's just schedule Northern Arizona's got an opening on their schedule. Christ, that's who they played last year in 1AA. Did they get the postseason playoffs? No. This is terrible. This is such a historic legacy rivalry, and you're screwing this thing up. Jeez, play it. I mean, John and I talked, months ago, the idea that was floated, let's play it week 0, which is the last week of August. Schools have started to pick up their extra game, their marquee game. Let's just make it a standard week 0 game as a flash to open the season. That'd be pretty cool. But no, they don't want to do that. I'd rather play Northern Arizona.
Yeah, well, they have a rivalry weekend, but for SC, that's UCLA.
Yeah.
Who's Notre Dame's number one rival?
Well, it used to be Purdue, but that's down. Now maybe it's going to be Indiana.
Yeah. I mean, they probably had a number of different rivals.
Stanford has always played Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's right. Notre Dame always plays Stanford, too.
Yep.
But I don't know. To me, it's Catholics versus convicts. I mean, that's probably the classic one, right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame and Miami.
I can't wait for Notre Dame Wake Forest. My God, can I book my airline trip now?
I know. But I don't know. It's just interesting, though, because some teams only have one rival. Some teams have multiple rivals. But I like the idea of maintaining the rivalries. But, this whole realignment just screwing everything up.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, now we're using the excuse, my God, we got to go on a plane because we're in the Big Ten. Well, you're the ones that screwed the Pac-12 and blew it up.
Right. Yeah, everything's a mess.
Don't get me started on this.
Okay.
Hey, good to have you on board, man. Casey, join us again.
Okay, let's go to Joel. Hey, from the soggy hills of Mission Valley to the suicidal peak on the Coronado Bridge, this is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, and I want to talk sports with you.
Oh, that sounds a little cruel. It's the Christmas season. Be nice. But thanks for listening and picking some of those catchphrases out of the solar system.
I want to talk sports with you.
Damn it.
Okay, here's Cal, and he goes, afternoon, gents. Stopping to wish you and your families a wonderful and safe holiday season.
Thank you very much. I salute John all the time because this is all John's fault. John came up with the idea for the podcast. We have almost 10,000 subscribers just on YouTube. And you guys on Fans Forum, do you know how big you are in China? You guys are big on TikTok because we carry this podcast on TikTok too.
Yeah, we put all of our video clips on all the other social media platforms. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun doing this. But you're right, we're about to bust through 10,000. We're not Joe Rogan, but we're making progress.
Hey, your Christmas gift to us. So tell everybody on your email address. Email a mass hit. Hacksaw is back. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. You could help promote this even farther. I appreciate it. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Get out your Rolodex. Get a 10-cent stamp on that letter. All right, let's go to Bill. Hey, Lee, I'll bet you that Maple Leaf sweatshirt, the Friars will not win their division. Want to up the stakes? Give me your bet on whether they will even make the playoffs.
Roster's not completed. Opening day's not here yet. I do think they could be a wild card team. But there's health issues everywhere. And nobody's talking about it. I mean, as excited as I was, and I think Michael King's a classy dude, and for him to come back. But other teams backed away from Michael King in free agency because of this nerve issue in the shoulder. And when Michael King came back to pitch at the end, after being on the DL for the chunks of time with the knee and the shoulder, he wasn't the same pitcher. So there's a little bit of a question mark there. There's a bit of a question mark as to whether Joe Musgrove can be vintage Joe right from the get-go, or will it take him half a year or a full season since surgery to be back? So we don't know yet, which is why I still think they need to make another transaction to go get another pitcher. But AJ moves pieces of the puzzle box around, and he finds a way to make deals.
they still have a great roster. I mean, you got Machado, you got Tatis. If these guys play to their potential.
And you got the kid in center field.
Yeah, Jackson Merrill. I mean, they got to add some pieces. I mean, they're never going to be at the Dodger level, but I think if I'm a betting man, I think they're a playoff team at some level, it's because we know AJ ain't done. So, yeah, I think so.
I'm not betting my Maple Leaf hoodie yet. But
there's a lot of teams that are way worse off. I mean, way worse off. So, the Padres are in the top 10 in spending. You can argue they could have spent the dollars differently, but yeah, I mean, you going to pick the Rockies over them?
Hey, here's a story. Speaking of bad times, LA Times columnist today on their website, I think it's going to be in the paper tomorrow, have invited all Angel fans to get rid of their gear, cross the street, and become Dodger fans.
Oh, my God.
Their column is, yeah. Well, just look who the Angels are, what they've become. And, of course, all this is the aftermath and the fallout from the Tyler Skaggs drug death trial.
So, wait. So the L.A. Times sports writers are trying to
inviting.
Well, they're inviting, but I mean, talk about kicking your little sister down the road, man. I mean, that's brutal.
You are what your record says you are. That's a decade plus of non-playoff baseball.
That was A.J. Smith, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was that Bill Parcells? Parcells, yeah. You are what your record says you are. Yeah, it's been tough for the Angels.
I think it's in the L.A. Times tomorrow. I saw it this morning. I said, wow.
Well, yeah, and everyone wants to be on the sexy Dodgers bandwagon.
Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go here to John. Hey, with all the scandals going on in Ann Arbor over Michigan football, how much of it stains Harbaugh between Sharon Moore and now Matt Weiss? Hey, John Gruden got fired for emails, not assault and identity theft.
Well, nobody's holding Harbaugh accountable for anything because he's winning with the Chargers right now. But there's a piece of me that says you were the CEO of that football program for a whole large segment of this, including Sharon Moore. You went to the athletic director and said, name this guy, promote this guy. Now, Jim Harbaugh may run around and walk down the hallway and say, I had no knowledge. Please, you're a CEO. You freaking know everything about everything. And the fact that Matt Weiss has now got hit with 20 or 24 count indictment for invasion of privacy for penetrating the email accounts of co-eds and other athletes to steal video and just slimeball stuff after slimeball stuff. And that on top of the whole situation with NCAA violations, Spygate, NCAA violations, that Sharon Moore was involved in illegal recruiting and deleting of all materials and not cooperating with the NCAA. This is all under Harbaugh, and Harbaugh was part of this. So are we talking good citizen here? Might be a hell of a coach. And that's the only thing that counts. I guess that's okay. But I don't know if we're talking good citizen here. Portrays himself one way, but I don't know if we're talking good citizen here.
He got out of town in a nick of time. Mm-hmm. They won the national championship. He got the trophy, and then the Chargers came calling, and suddenly he's not there anymore. I think he's, unless something criminal comes forward, I think Harbaugh is, he's closed that chapter of his life.
The NCAA's eyes, he's a criminal. They suspended him for 13 years.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
Nobody's ever done that.
He's not going to go back to NCAA. Mm-hmm. He's got more money than he needs. So I'm saying is that he's avoided accountability on all of this. And it just goes, I mean, it's obviously Harbaugh, Sharon Moore have plenty to be responsible for. But that university administration needs to have higher ethical standards. It can't be win at all costs.
So what does Michigan man now mean to you? Because to me, that's a big, ugly shadow that's in Ann Arbor right now. And I bet it's going to take them a long time to fix this, fix their image, much less fix the football program. But the stuff that came out this morning about Sharon Moore is just beyond belief.
Death penalty?
No, because they didn't hit him with the death penalty when they had the chance to kill him. Instead, they fined him $30 million and took away scholarships, but they didn't give him a death penalty.
Imagine if you're a player at Michigan.
Yeah.
What are you going through right now?
Yep.
Everyone's probably thinking, maybe I should get out of here.
Hasn't happened yet. Then now, January 2nd, we'll find out because that's when the portal opens.
Weird. Just weird.
Yeah. Michigan man. What does that mean to you now? Okay. We move on.
Okay, let's
Happy
go.
holiday, John.
Okay, let's go here to Manny. Hey, if players knew what was going on, then why didn't they say something earlier? Maybe the Major League Players Association also needs to investigate on why players couldn't speak up about the drug dealer in the clubhouse.
Making reference to Skaggs introducing at least 8 of his teammates to Eric Kay. Those guys were obtaining pills through Skaggs, obtaining stuff directly from Eric Kay. And nobody turned anybody in. Nobody cared about Skaggs. The Angels, John Carpino, the president, said, we have the greatest healthcare system in professional sports. If Tyler Skaggs had told us of his severe addictions, we would have helped get him clean. We could have helped save his life, but he lied to us. So this is the thing that's driving me crazy. The jury hears all this testimony about this guy being an addict for more than 6 years and turning other players into drug users and finding a courier to help them get stuff and give them stuff too. And the jury blamed the Angels totally for this, not Skaggs? You got to be kidding me. What am I missing here in this equation?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Manny brings up a good point. Players have got to step in, right? You got to do the right thing. But, it just makes you wonder what the vibe was in the clubhouse, Mike Trout, obviously everyone looks to him, but is he really a leader? Who's the Papa Bear, not the manager or any of the coaches, but amongst the players, because there's so many young guys on that team.
Well, young guys now, but back then they were all established veteran guys.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, does the Angels organization bear some responsibility? Yeah, they do.
Sure.
But it's got to be at least like an 80-20, if not a 90-10 kind of a balance. If you're addicted, that's on you, man. I mean, it's your choice to what you put in your body.
Yeah, and you're exposing other players. I mean, the drug culture in that clubhouse was unfreaking believable. Nobody knew. Nobody saw.
Well,
nobody wanted to do anything.
They just probably look the other way.
Oh, I get my check on the 1st and 15th of the month. I don't care if you're stoned. I'm getting paid.
Well, it's just interesting because, we've seen other cases. Wasn't it like the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 1980s had that drug scandal?
Yeah, the Candelaria cocaine and Doc Ellis and all that.
Yeah.
LSD and...
Yeah, I mean, so this sort of thing's been going on for a long time, but not to excuse it, but it's just yeah.
To me, it's dark. It is so dark. And now you got a dead pitcher and you got an organization forever stained.
Yeah, but
Just
plus
terrible.
There's been so many other tragedies with the Angels.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, thank you for the input, Manny.
Okay, let's go to Javier. Hacksaw arises a career .317 hitter. Why hasn't he signed? No one's even talking about him. What is it? No power, or is he a bad guy?
I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's not a great base runner. Has very negligible power. He's a singles hitter. And if he wants a pay hike to $18 to $20 million for a singles hitter, people back away. Is he a candidate to come back here? Yeah, maybe if he wants to take a pay cut. Padres, I don't think at this point could take on a $14 million contract because of what they've already spent. I don't think he's a bad dude. I enjoyed him. I thought he made himself a very competitive first baseman, but he's a slap hitter, and that's the actual extent of what he can contribute to a team.
Just seems like last year and this offseason, it's become very fashionable to question the value of Luis Arraez.
Maybe it's because first baseman's supposed to be legitimate power hitters and not him.
Yeah. And so, which goes to the fact that, how valuable is the batting average? How valuable is the bat to ball contact skills in the whole scheme of things? Is OPS really more valuable? And then you begin to question the defense, which for him is probably average at best.
Base running, sub-average.
Yeah. So, but I would expect there's going to be a lot of other free agents to sign ahead of him because Arraez is kind of like you talk about puzzles. He's like one of the last puzzle pieces you put in, kind of like that widget, that tool that just kind of adds a little something to the lineup.
Mm-hmm. But you say, well, who's going to play if he's not? Well, you got Cronenworth. Oh, yeah, but Lee, Cronenworth hit 246. So what are we talking about here? So you're picking a 246 hitter with a glove over a 317 slap hitter with no glove? Tough call.
Very tough call. Okay. Keep on trucking. We'll go down here to HB949. He goes, hello, Lee and John. Glad you're doing your show today. The rest of San Diego sports media have cracked open the eggnog and are done for 2025.
I apologize for being fanatical. We work. That's who we are. I've worked on Christmas days. I've done games on Christmas days. The TV station brought me in to do special packages on Christmas. That's who I am. So I enjoy being active. I enjoy being with the followers, the community, the listeners on radio, and what we've developed here on TV, which is why I think when you get a chance, when John posts this Hacksaw History podcast, the first one we ever did, when he posts it and you can get access to it Christmas Day or Friday, you're going to laugh. The stories we tell about how we got to San Diego and what we thought getting to San Diego was just kind of, it's all his fault. He kept asking me unique and different questions I'd never, ever thought about or answered before about why I am the way I am.
Yeah, that we need a therapy session for that.
That too.
So it's just a couple of comments. First of all, I know the Ben and Woods fans on Twitter today, they were all like in withdrawal symptoms, because they just really love those guys. So anyways, I'm surprised Jeff recognized us for this. I think it's kind of special. And by the way, yeah, you are relentless because when you go on vacation or I go on vacation, we stick to that Monday to Thursday, and I get crap from my wife when we're out of town. You're doing a podcast with Hacksaw, and we're like wherever we are.
The gentleman was in Ireland. He did a podcast with me from the top of the bar at the brewery. What was the beer?
It was Guinness.
Guinness.
Yeah.
From the Guinness. And I know because I've been in that pub at the top of the tower that overlooks all things Dublin, Ireland. And he's doing a podcast back to San Diego.
You're embellishing a little bit, but not much. But yeah, we did the transatlantic podcast. But and then every so often, when the way the schedule lines up, where Christmas is on a Thursday, we don't do a schedule. But I can see you kind of having like conniption fits.
It's called twitches.
Yeah, that you're not doing the sports thing on the regular rhythm because you're like the lunch pail Pittsburgh Steeler fan. You just show up to work every day.
Well, some of it's got to do with technology. We've hardly taken any bullets at all, and we've done a lot of podcasts when I was traveling or he was traveling or both of us were traveling and linked up. We've not taken, but there's always risk. I would do my Saturday KUSI stuff on the road. I did it from airports, but the technology got so complicated, and we did take a hit where we couldn't get me on the air at 6:30 on Saturday morning because I do this big expansive thing on KUSI, to which they said, when you're going away, we'll just take a bye week. Okay, so we had to do that. But
enjoy your vacation.
Yeah, I'm trying to. When you took your cruise, Southern Cruise, Panama Canal, we did a podcast, did we not? We've been a whole bunch of places.
We have. We did a podcast. I did one with you. I was in Vegas, and maybe one in Peoria. And there was one where we did a cruise, but not on the cruise ship because the Wi-Fi is just awful on a cruise ship. But I think we were at one of the hotels along the way, and we did some. So, yeah, we've had some fun with this.
This dude is in Panama. Big man in Panama.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thanks. Hey, happy holiday.
Okay, let's go here to, who does this say? Just here to like the videos. He goes, hey, Perriman got suspended. Defensive run game might go bad for 3 games.
Well, Perriman got suspended because it was a pretty vicious helmet hit, terrible hit. Tony Jefferson, I thought, should have gotten suspended the week prior. He get hit with a double fine because they were headhunting. To me, there's just way too much. If you want to see a really bad hit, it was an accidental hit. A Denver wide receiver, rookie, got really badly hurt. You see his neck snap. And he didn't get hit in a helmet. He got hit here, but he was going one way and got hit here, and it was really bad. He spent the night in the hospital, but luckily he only suffered a concussion, did not suffer any bone damage in his neck. But it was terrible. I mean, the collisions, the speed of collisions is just out of control in the NFL. And then you see guys intentionally hit guys helmet first. Bad.
It's gladiator games, man. I mean, it's like a war out there.
Doesn't make it right.
Well, then you were even talking about Shedeur Sanders if you kind of
threw a medicine ball.
Yeah, it's just like, you're going to get death killed if you actually take possession of it.
That's what happened to that kid running back, and that's a pretty good young running back. Judkens.
Wow. I mean, how many quarterbacks have been hurt this year in the NFL?
More than half of the 32 starters have now gone down with major injuries. I'd have to go back and look at the standings and try to do a count. I mean, but the body bag count in the last 2 weeks in a league with major injuries, significant.
Significant, yeah. So, Perryman got suspended. I mean, how old is he, by the way? He's up there, isn't he?
He's got to be close to 30, 32. Good football player, tough guy. Was here, let go, came back, tough guy. Plays hard, but this time he put his head down and led with the crown of his helmet. Why are you doing that?
Well, yeah, but sometimes you think in the heat of the moment, you're not necessarily trying to be a missile and target with your head. It just sort of happens, right?
But if there's going to be that type of collision, you need to have your head up. If you hit the guy, you hit him with a face mask. You don't do this.
Yeah.
And it's happening way too much around the league.
My sense is it's easier said than done.
Happy holiday. We will see you next Monday.
Okay, let's go here to Daniel. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy holidays to you both. If the Chargers make the playoffs, how far do you think they'll go?
If they can get home field, and right now they're sitting in a great position, they get home field, it's going to help them. Because otherwise you'll be playing cold weather. You want to go to New England? Even if they wind up playing Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh's going to win the division. You want to go to Pittsburgh? Because Pittsburgh won the division. So they get home field. Denver is still out there. They're going to have to go through Denver on the final Sunday of the regular season and still might have to play them again. So home field with Superman, quarterback, I'd like to have that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the other teams in the league. I mean, who's better than the Chargers right now? I mean, Denver, you can make an argument for.
They're red hot.
And the Chargers already beat them once, and they're going to have a chance to maybe beat them again. But then, who else? I mean, Jacksonville's kind of this up-and-coming thing. Texans have that tough defense. Patriots are showing us something. The Bills are down. There's no, world beater in the AFC like it used to be with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it looks like the Chargers are going to have to play maybe in Foxborough, maybe in Buffalo, maybe in Pittsburgh. Obviously, somebody's got to go through Denver. So, I mean, we're talking all cold weather.
Yeah, and then hopefully Herbert, survives. Mm-hmm. I mean, with that offensive line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, end of the day, salute Superman, because I would have never imagined, because I tell you what I think, I would have never imagined they would win against these three quarterbacks back-to-back weeks. And
well, there's the 5 games, right? I mean, was it Kansas City, Philadelphia, Dallas, and then we've Houston and Denver. I mean, honestly, if you would have told me they were going to go 1-4 in those final 5 games, I would say, I could see that happening. Mm-hmm. And so far now they're 3-0, and they got 2 more to go.
Exactly. Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's go here to Retro. Can't wait for the Monday show. First time I saw Hacksaw was when he did the Sports Wrap Saturday after the NBC Baseball Game of the Week.
Yeah, that was on KNSD Channel 739. And I had no idea what I was doing. They came to me. Now, this goes back early 90s. And they said, listen, we have the NBC Game of the Week. And we know who you are and what you've done on Sports Talk Radio. What would you think about doing some type of baseball talk show coming out of the NBC Game of the Week on Saturday? I said, okay. So then we had to devise what we were going to do. And I had really no knowledge about graphics and all that. And I said, well, they said they're going to put a TV screen right next to you, and we'll shoot it from here and shoot it from there. You won't be on camera all the time. We'll be doing moving shots. And I mean, it was really creative. And I think we did 60 minutes, and then they pushed it out to 90 minutes because the response was so good. But end of the day, I did it for a year and a half. It was really fun, but it was a lot of work because you just don't show up and I'm going to talk baseball. No, you show up and you build graphics and you do videos and you got to do all this preview stuff. It's kind of like doing this podcast. This podcast doesn't happen in 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. Ask John. John's screaming at me. You're sending me 9 different emails with all these graphics we're going to use.
Yeah.
So it was good, but I kind of burned out on it. It just kind of hit a wall. I said, Oh, guys, this is really hard because there's like working a full 6th day.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, first of all, the Major League Baseball Game of the Week, that's a classic show.
Yeah, the Joe Garagiola type thing.
Yeah, Tony Kubek, back then in the 70s, that was the thing. It's not as big of a thing anymore now because
there's baseball everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, back in the 70s, you'd be lucky to see your home team once or twice a month.
A lot of talking heads.
But what you described for me kind of reminds me a little bit of what our CBS 8 affiliate does after the after the Sunday games.
Yeah.
Because they got CARTHY and they got a couple of the local dudes out there, and they do a good job. But you could tell that it takes them a lot of time to prepare everything because they're doing almost like an ESPN level
around the league type.
Yeah, around the league with clips and highlights, and they got to have all the stats at the ready. I mean, those guys are prepared, and they're pulling it off at the local level. I mean, good on them. So I'd imagine for you doing that by yourself. I mean, they have 3 guys plus the support team,
plus the editors and the graphics people. But no, yeah. I created it all and I sent it to them and said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do." And it looked really sharp. I've got a few hard pictures of it with the team logos and. It's here's what's going on in the world of baseball. Here's what Lee Hamilton thinks coming out of the NBC Game of the Week. And I'd run through hot headlines, this injury, that trade rumor, this controversy, and they'd flash up graphics as I was doing it, or they'd flash up video, or flash pictures of Pete Rose. And at that point in time, the whole betting scandal was a big story. And we were doing that almost on every Saturday basis with updates. So it was neat. It was enormous amount of work, but hey, thank you for remembering. That was cool.
Well, good on you for being asked to do it because you were the guy. All right, let's keep moving on. Let's go to timer 20. Hey, what I don't understand with the SKAGGS trial is why would the family settle for $92 million when they were asking for $785 million? Did their lawyers think they were going to lose the case?
That's the biggest fear. And when they found out, when the jury went back to the judge and asked for clarity. They did it, I think, 3 times in the final day on that Wednesday. When they asked for clarity about how do we determine dollar value, all of a sudden those lawyers were then aware that this jury is going to make a decision and this jury is about ready to go against the Angels. So then you negotiate. But from the SKAGGS family lawyer's perspective, how much money can we get? $789 million was out in the galaxy figure. That's not realistic. But the risk is, if you stay in the game, let the jury decide, you might get 0. You might get nothing. And the Rusty Hardin, the Texas lawyer that represented the SKAGGS family, his firm would get no money if they lost the case. So all of a sudden there's dollars there. Okay, now the dollars are moved around, et cetera. And they were on the clock because they were told within 1 hour, I think at 11 a.m., they were going to announce the jury has returned a verdict. So they had to settle this. They had negotiated it on Wednesday and negotiated it on Thursday, and then they knew on Friday morning, here's the deadline. So they accept. That's how they came up with the figure. That 789, which I think was the first figure that was mentioned in the trial, was really out in the galaxy. We think this could happen. Well, but you never want it to go to a jury, so that's why they settled. But it's terrible. You got a dead pitcher. A family looks like it was a money grab. I mean, a family then asked MLB to discipline the Angels on top of what just happened, and you got a stained organization. My God, what a terrible environment.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start with a big ask. I get that, and you kind of know this is probably going to be negotiated out. Mm-hmm. So you take what you can get, and I'm sure that the attorney for the SKAGGS family was probably doing it, on a percentage of the take, and probably no fees if this thing loses.
Exactly,
knowing full well that they would be able to negotiate something, in the hallway of the courtroom at the 11th hour. But you were saying that they were getting hints or information that the judge was going to go against, the jury was going to go against the Angels. But how did they get that? I thought that's sequestered.
Because when the jurors write a form letter back to the judge asking for clarification on certain testimony about values of contracts, because Rusty Hardin was asking these professional people that came to testify, and the jury wanted to be reminded of the specifics. What would SKAGGS have made the next year or the year after? What if he'd been an all-star? What would he make? Well, all of a sudden, when they found out that the jury was inquiring about damages, financial numbers to put in, that's
the show.
I was a jury foreman. It was so hard. It was so emotional. I was in a trial for 17 days.
Really?
On an auto accident, and I got picked, and I knew people on both sides. I couldn't believe, because when you're in the jury pool, they ask you about who you are, what you've done.
Yeah.
The lawyers on both sides knew who I was. I thought I was going to get removed, and so I wound up in the jurors' room. And then when it came time to make a decision, they said, "We know who you are. We want you to be the jury foreman. Lead us in the discussion." And I had a blackboard, and I'm putting up all the pros and cons of the different things we had to discuss. And then you get into personalities, and then you get into cultures, and then you get into anger, and everybody's tired because it was 17 days. I was off the air for 17 days because I had jury duty.
It's awesome that you did that and that you were the foreman, but it's just funny that, you're just a regular hacksaw, just doing your regular life. And then suddenly you get called in for jury duty. People instantly recognize you because you're recognizable. And then suddenly you find yourself as the head guy, and as a foreman. But I mean, my wife was on a jury about a year ago, and just the crap, know, and she I remember she came back and just said, "I just wish everyone would go to jail. I just thought they were all a disgrace." Well,
it's such a deep story, and then I'm sitting here in the jury pool, and I take notes every minute of every day of what I think is the most important angles, and I wanted to find out more about this. But I can't stand up and ask the lawyer, "Would you ask them this so I could get this piece of data?" That was the most frustrating thing. I wasn't at a press conference.
Yeah. The whole thing is interesting. Yeah, and then sports fans probably going, "Where the hell is Hacksaw?" Okay, let's go here to Lenny. Hey, Padres rated last for the farm system, which means no backups for the Padres. Good luck.
Well, at this point, all the depth in the farm system is at rookie league at A and maybe a little bit at AA. There's really nothing at AAA, but that's a byproduct of A.J. Preller trading away 14 guys, 14 farm system players at the trade deadline last year when he made all these transactions, Baltimore, Oakland A's, etc. So, I mean, he uses the farm system as his currency. The Dodgers' currency is open the checkbook, go sign the next star free agent. So they're wafer thin. They got stuff further down, which then are we going to use those guys as the next trade bait? We're going to trade more draft picks away that he already signed. So we'll see what the next couple of weeks bring, because John and I both kind of agree, and we don't agree on a hell of a lot. Both agree that AJ's not done.
No, not at all. He's got boots on the ground, man. They're out there hustling. Yep. He's reloading, so right now it's depleted. I mean, he's traded a lot away. Again. But, it's fine. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Okay. Listen, we have had a lot of fun. Just a couple of quick reminders. We're going to be off on Christmas Day, but we're going to do Hacksaw's history. First interview John and I ever did together on a podcast. You'll get a kick out of it about why we are the way we are. That'll be posted so you can punch it up Christmas Day or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. We'll be back here on Monday, regular schedule. We'll have another weekend of NFL games to talk about, and then we'll be talking about the second round of the college football playoffs. John, Merry Christmas to you, and don't wear a bad-looking bow tie on Monday when we have the Christmas tie exchange.
Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, Merry Christmas, Healy. Have a good one with your family.
I'm not going to say bah humbug either.
Okay.
And Merry Christmas to you. Thanks for being part of this. As I say, we're almost to 10,000 subscribers. Really cool. My Christmas gift from you, just email everybody in your address book. Tell them Hacksaw's back. Have them join our team. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber. Great people. Happy holidays to them. Sample them out. Go to DIXIELINE.com. And thank you, as always, for being part of Hacksaw's Headlines. Merry Christmas.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.